Good morning. Welcome back to the 6 a.m. Club where we start our day inspired. If you're new here, if it's the first time that you're listening to the podcast, let me explain what the 6 a.m. Club is. The 6 a.m. Club is a short bonus episode that drops every Saturday with the intention to help you start your day inspired. I personally like to start my day inspired every single day of the week. And one way that I do that is by picking a random quote. I try to reflect on what that quote is teaching me that day. And then I think of what is one thing that I can do with what that quote is teaching me. And that's exactly what we do here at the 6 a.m. Club. So let's jump into this week's quote. And I do this every day, and typically on Saturdays, I pick the one quote that during the week was most impactful, or maybe one that I shared in social media that most people liked, because that tells me that probably is going to be the most impactful for you. And I was debating on which one to pick today, and I went with this one. Here it is. In our daily life, we must see that it is not happiness that makes us grateful, but gratefulness that makes us happy. Let me repeat it one more time. In our daily life, we must see that it is not happiness that makes us grateful, but gratefulness that makes us happy. I love this quote because if you know me personally, or if you have been listening to the podcast for a while, you know that I'm so into gratitude. It's one of my daily practices. I do it as part of my morning routine every day. That's how I start my day every day. Before I work out, before I have my coffee, before I get ready for the day or get my kids ready for the day, the first thing that I do, even before I pick the random quote and reflect on the quote, is practice gratitude. And it has been a life-changing routine for me. It's very simple. It takes 5 minutes, and here's how I personally do it. I just have a journal, and I write down the 5 things that happened in the last 24 hours for which I'm grateful. And again, there are days that things come up very quickly. They're top of mind. There's so much. Sometimes I have more than 5 things to write down. That's most of the days. There are days that it takes me an extra couple minutes to come up with the 5 things. And that is okay too. But including this as a daily practice, as I said, has been so transformative for me. It has changed completely the way I see the world. It has changed completely my perspective. It has changed completely my view of my life, and how I feel about my life. I have gone from a person who always saw the glass half empty to a person who sees the glass half full. And if you recently met me and you're like, there's no way you are a half empty glass kind of person, I was. And gratitude is what helped me change that perspective on life, about everything in my life. Gratitude helps me feel blessed and fortunate and happy and joyful. And every day I'm hunting for things that can go into my journal the next day. And I just see things with that positive lens. I see problems as opportunities. I see obstacles as learning opportunities. I see failure as part of my journey for success, and again, as a learning opportunity. I see the quote-unquote bad luck as a blessing. I am grateful for what that situation is teaching me, and it's helping me unbundle. And I can keep going. But this quote today, and the reason why I share this quote today is because this week I'm especially grateful. I had an amazing opportunity this week to do what I'm most passionate to do, which is this, being able to speak from what is in my mind and what is in my heart, and through that be able to inspire others. And I was able to speak at an event this week for the Detroit Economic Club Young Leadership Council. They have their big conference this year, and I had an opportunity to speak there. And I talked about reinventing yourself to adapt and thrive in the ever-changing world. And it was about career reinvention and how you can step up from everyone else around you and achieve your career goals. And I closed my session sharing something that I've shared with all of you in a couple of episodes ago, maybe was last week, the last 90-day career challenge. And if you listen to that podcast episode, you probably noticed that the very first habit out of the 5 that I outlined in this challenge, and if you haven't listened to the podcast episode, let me do a super quick summary of what that episode is about, and I really want to invite you to go and listen to it. That episode is about ending the year strong. It's about the fact that at this point in the year, a lot of people are just giving up on their goals, and a lot of people are feeling disengaged in what they're doing, in their jobs, in their careers, in their businesses. And they're just waiting for the new year to take action. They're like, okay, January 1st, I'll do something. And I believe that we should end the year as strong or stronger as we started it. So every year, October 3rd marks the last 90 days of the year. And I always do a last 90-day challenge to help me put myself on that mindset of ending the year strong while I develop habits that help me feel at my best, focus on an area of my life that I'm focusing on at that time. And it could be any area of your life. And the challenge basically is picking 5 habits that you're committing to practice daily for the last 90 days of the year. So this year, I put together one around career with the objective, again, to help you thrive in your career, to get momentum on your career, to feel at your best at work, to feel engaged again. And if you listen to that podcast episode, you'll notice that out of the 5 habits that I outlined, the very first one is to practice gratitude. And the way you can practice gratitude around your career is to think about every day 3 things that you're grateful for that happened around your job. Maybe someone at work sent you a thank you note. Maybe someone helped you solve a problem. Maybe you met someone, you expanded your network. Maybe you were rewarded for doing something. Maybe you had a really good meeting. Maybe you reached that goal that you were after, or you finished that project. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be big things. Actually, I always recommend to pick the little things. And if you choose to do this challenge, even if you just choose to do this one thing of practicing gratitude daily, identifying just 3 things that you're grateful for at your job, I bet you're going to feel a difference between today in the end of the year on how engaged you are at work. And it's going to show up in how you show up at work and how you perform at work, and can have an impact on how others perceive you at work. So anyways, I really invite you to listen to that podcast episode. And I really invite you to practice gratitude daily. Make it part of your daily routine, whether it's the first thing that you do in the morning or maybe it's the thing that you do before you go to bed. But as our quote says, it is not happiness that makes us grateful, but rather gratefulness that makes us happy. And I think we all want to be happy. And practicing gratitude is one thing that is completely free that can unlock that sense of happiness. So here's my challenge for you today, because I always like to close this with a call to action. I want to invite you to listen to that podcast episode and take the last 90-day challenge. Whether you want to do those 5 things that I outlined on the last 90-day career challenge, or you want to pick 5 other things that you're going to be focusing on, just make sure that gratitude is one of them. Okay, this is getting longer than usual. I hope you have an amazing weekend. I will talk to you again on another episode of the Leading Yourself podcast.